Hey guys, Cindy here. So today we're going to talk about factoring or dividing polynomials. So before we start, it's important to know about the division statement and also the various parts that comprise of it. So as you can see here, this is the dividend, and these two here are the divisors. This is the remainder, and this right here is the quotient. And so even though this seems like a normal fraction, the way this is structured will be important for expressing your answers as well as for later use in the course, because your teacher may want to ask you to express your answer in either the division statement or the multiplication statement. So now let's take a look at this polynomial right here. 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x minus 1. So if we want to divide this polynomial by x minus 3, for example, we can do so by either using long division or synthetic division. So let's start off with long division first. So if you recall grade 3 math, the objective is to find out how many times the divisor can go into the dividend. So as always, we start off a bit like this. We put the divisor over here, and then we put the dividend, which is 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x plus minus 1, which is a bit of a squeeze here, over here. And so first, we want to see what x over here has to multiply in order to create 3x cubed, or the first term here. So in this case, it's 3x squared. So I'll just align 3x. Align 3x squared with negative 5x squared over here as well. So yeah, as you can see, they're aligned. And so since 3x squared times x gives me 3x cubed, we are going to put that underneath 3x cubed. And now I also want to multiply the other terms in the divisor with 3x squared and align them properly underneath as well. So negative 3 times 3x squared gives me negative 9x squared. And so at this point, since we have this, we are just going to put them in brackets and we're going to subtract them. So by subtracting them, we get rid of this term over here. And so we're going to be left with 4x squared. And so now we're going to bring down this negative 7x over here, so minus 7x. And we're just going to repeat this process again. So then x can go into 4x squared 4x amounts of time. So we're just going to add plus 4x up here. And then we are going to do the same thing as we did before. So 4x squared minus negative 3 times 4x, which gives you 12x. Put them in brackets, subtract that, we get 5x minus 1 because we bring the negative 1 down. So then finally, last step here, we just want to see how many times x can go to 5x, which is 5 times. So then 5x minus 3 times 5, which is 15. Put that in brackets, subtract that, and then you get 14 here. And so once you can't divide the number anymore, this number that you see here, the 14, this is the remainder. And so once you know that, yeah, so this is the remainder right here. And based off of what you have here, you can either put it into the division statement or the multiplication statement, depending on what your teacher does. And so even though they might ask you to do long division in question, for example, another much faster and easier way to check this, whether or not you did your long division right, is through synthetic division. And so long division works very well for many cases, but clearly it's very time consuming. And that's why we sometimes use synthetic division to divide polynomials. But keep in mind that synthetic division only works if the divisor is linear, meaning that x is something like it's kind of like this. It's not like x squared minus 3, for example. And so that's why it would work for this question in this case here. And so how would we do this question with synthetic division? Well, first we are going to do this. We're going to draw a little, this little line thing here. And if you notice here, we're going to divide it by x minus 3, which means that x is equal to 3. And so we're going to put the value of x on this side here. Next, if you look at the coefficients of the dividend, we're just going to write all the coefficients on this side at the top. So 3 minus 5, minus 7, and minus 1. So now that we have that here, we can start the synthetic division. So what you first want to do is you want to bring the first coefficient down, which is 3. Next, you want to multiply this number by this number here. So 3 times 3, that gives you 9. And then now that, and you put the 9 here. Now that we have the 9 here, we're going to add them. So negative 5 plus 9, that gives you 4. And we're just going to repeat that process for the same thing. So then 3 times 4, that gives you 12. Negative 7 plus 12, that gives you 5. 3 times 5, that gives you 15. And negative 1 plus 15, that gives you 4. And so in the end, as you can tell, this 14 here, that's also the same number as the remainder. So the number that you are left here is the remainder of once you divide that polynomial by whatever you had to divide it with. And all the numbers that are listed here, these are the coefficients of the quotient. And now that you have this information, you could probably, write it in the statement that your teacher wants to give you. And thank you, that's it. I hope this makes sense.